and welcome to my Thanksgiving. I'm so excited to share these things with you. And we're going to start today with brining a turkey. So we're going to go through the whole process from start to finish of the turkey. And the reason why I want to show you a brine is because I've been doing this for several years now. And it really does make a difference. Everybody complains, what's the chief complaint, right? About the turkey. It's dry, there's no flavor to it. And a lot of people don't like turkey because of those two reasons right there. The cool thing about a brine is it infuses your turkey with moisture and flavor. So that takes care of both of those things. Another thing that I love about a brine is it helps the turkey to golden up, if you will, whenever it's cooking. And so you come out with this finished product of just a gorgeous golden brown turkey that's full of flavor and so moist that you're just loving the leftovers. Ha ha. Okay, now our turkey is ready, patted dry and setting to the side. Now in our big pot, get your biggest pot. Now you do want to check and make sure that your turkey is going to fit in that pot. If not, you can use like the insert of your turkey roaster or whatever that your turkey will fit in. You just need to make sure that whatever you're using is okay with all this salt inside it. Note, I'm not using cast iron for this. Okay, so we're going to turn our water on high and get it going. While that's coming up to a rolling boil, we're going to start adding our spices. Okay, so first of all, we're going to have about a tablespoon of sage. That's going to go in there. Okay. And our tablespoon of our garlic salt. And we're going to do a scant tablespoon of onion powder, so that's about 2 teaspoons of that. Remember, this, guys, now this is where you're having some fun because you don't have to have exact amounts for this. A sprinkle of cayenne because I do want a little bit of a punch to it. And our bay leaves. I love the woodsy flavor of bay leaves. Just absolutely love it. So I'm going to use a small handful of bay leaves. If you want to count that out, that's going to be about 10. We're going to go with about a tablespoon of thyme. All right, now into our brine solution, and what's going to actually make it a brine is our salt. All right, into that water solution is going to go about a half of a cup of salt. And we're going to reserve the rest of that because that will go in after we get our ice in there and get everything cooled down. We're going to let this boil for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to take it off the heat, carefully add our ice cubes to it. So guys, whenever you're making a brine, make sure that you have ice cubes set aside or buy a bag of ice or whatever you need so that you've got plenty of ice to add to your brine to cool it down and to keep it super, super cold over the next 12 to 24 hours or however long you're going to brine it for. Okay, now instead of adding ice into this hot broth and it possibly splashing around, we're going to add ice into our bowl part. Then pour that hot brine over our heat-proof bowl. Then we'll continue adding ice. Okay guys, the whole reason that we're doing this is just to cool down the brine. It's really important that you cool your brine down to at least like room temperature so that you don't start cooking your turkey in the brine. We don't want to cook it in the brine. We just want it to marinate in the brine. Now, next step. This is that. Bring our big pot over, and it's fine. See, it's got some of that pink salt still in there. Not a problem at all. All right, so in is going to go the turkey. Just like that. In goes the brine. Clean hands. A little more salt over the top. Now when all of that ice melts in there, That's going to be nice and covering our turkey. And that is just what we want. We're going to cover this just like this, and this is going to go into our refrigerator for at least 14 hours, close to 20 to 24 hours as we can get. You don't really need to do it more than 24 hours though. Okay, so that would be your cutoff on your timeline there. All right, so we're going to put this in, and we're going to come back tomorrow to put this on the roast. Well, good morning, everyone, and it's time to talk turkey. Gobble, 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 gobble. Okay, now, before we get our turkey patted dry, and remember it's been in that brine all night long, so it's really, really good and seasoned and infused with all that flavor and juiciness. So before we do that and get that in the roaster, I want to talk to you a moment about why I choose a roaster. I've been doing turkeys, obviously, many a year, and the easiest thing that I have found to make a luscious, juicy, crispy on the edges turkey, but moist in the middle, is a roaster. Now, if you're not going to smoke it or you're not going to deep fat fry it, for me, this is the best thing. And if you don't like smoking it or deep fat frying it, the roaster is, for me, it is the way to go. So let me talk to you just a moment about this. You can get these at Walmart or wherever, and in the fall of the year is a great time to get one of these roasters. And you'll find it like this. It has this nice little rack, a roasting rack, so that holds the turkey up off the very, very bottom and allows it to roast fully all the way around, which is wonderful. And also, look at this. This insert comes completely out so that when you're ready to do the cleanup, it makes it so much easier. Also, one of the other wonderful things about using roaster is it frees up your oven. And you know, if you've done a turkey in your oven before, that is the only thing that's going to go on in your oven until that bird is done and out. The nice thing about a roaster is you can plug this in on a side table or a countertop. In the summertime, it's great to use these things for large amounts of food because it doesn't heat up your whole oven and then heat up your whole kitchen. So really, really great applications for roasters. Love it. Okay, this can be roasted. Anything that you want to roast. You can do a great big huge like prime rib. You can do in that. Anything that's large and you don't want to do in your oven and you really want to hold in those juices, the roaster is good for. All right, so now that we've talked about the roaster, it is time to address the bird. 1752 Gobble Gobble Lane. We're addressing the bird. Okay, paper towel. We have taken the bird out of the brine, and you can drain it just in a great big colander or whatever. Put that down in the sink, dump your bird in there and everything. Get it really good and drained. Tip it up so that you make sure all of that is out of the cavity, and then we're just going to pat it dry with our paper towel. You can see that some of the salt and spices is still on the bird, and that is okay. We're going to, as long as it's not clumped really big in places, it's fine. There's no need to rinse it, in other words, right? Because normally you rinse your bird when you take it out of the package. Why in the world do you need to pat it dry? That is a good question. And the answer to that is because when you dry the skin of your bird, and I do this with chicken too, if I'm roasting it, because it allows it to crisp up just beautifully. Get rid of that. The bird is ready to go in, but before it goes in, we're going to put just a little bit of butter up under the skin, if we can. You just pull that skin up like that, and you just pull that skin up a little bit and slide your fingers up in there like that, and it loosens the skin from the actual flesh of the turkey, like that, okay? Now that we've done that, kind of wedge that butter in there, and because the turkey's still cold, because it's been in that nice cold brine, I'm just going to kind of wedge this butter in here and kind of use the skin like that to press it in, okay? Now what is wonderful about this is that as the bird cooks in the roaster, that butter is going to just melt down into the meat like that and make it all the more luscious and unctuous. We'll spread the rest of it, just gonna rub down the bird. Into the roaster it goes. Lovely, lovely. I am not going to put any more salt, pepper, or anything like that on the bird at this time because we will be basting. Because we've done that wonderful brine, because we've done that, all of those flavors are already infused into the bird, right? So we don't need to worry about that so much right now. Okay, so our bird is in, lid goes on, our dial here is set at 350. I like to go ahead and start basting, and once I start basting, and that could be an hour in, usually about an hour in, I will start basting, and then I'll do that about every 30 minutes until it's done. Now, your rule of thumb is for every pound of your turkey, you go 20 minutes, okay? So if it's, you know, pretty easy to do the math. This is an 11-pound bird, so we're gonna go for a full 4 hours just to be sure that it is done. This turkey, it's a butterball turkey, and it does not have one of those little pop-up timers. I love those pop-up timers. They're so nice because then you know it's done, obviously. But this one does not. So we're gonna do that 20 minutes for every pound rule, that rule of thumb on that, and basting about every 30 once we start basting. And then we'll know it's done because we followed the rule. Okay, you guys, look at this, how gorgeous, right? And it's so tender that when I lifted it up, one of the wings literally fell off, and I had to kind of do a little surgery to put him back on right there. But look how gorgeous that is, you guys. How amazing. Now, it cooked for about 4 hours, right at 4 hours, and I basted after about the first hour. I started basting, and I did do that every like 30 minutes. I came back and basted again and again. So really, it's not that much. You can do so many other things while that cookie is while that turkey is roasting in the roaster. Look at this. And then remember to let it rest. You can see the steam is still coming off of it. Let it rest for about 15 minutes, and that really, I had to just trust all these cookbooks and chefs and different things that I was hearing over the years to say, let your meat rest. But it really is true. If you let it rest for that 15 minutes, all of those juices just come back together to where they're supposed to be. So that when you slice that, you don't lose all of that flavor down in the bottom of your platter, right? That juice stays in the meat where it's supposed to be. So make sure that you give it that 15 minutes. Usually for us, the 15 minutes is putting it on the platter and taking it to the table and getting everybody gathered around for prayer. And that's usually our 15 minutes right there. So we usually don't have to spend much more time than that. Okay, you guys, we have let our turkey rest for 15 minutes, and I am going to get my favorite part of the turkey, the wing. Yum. My mouth is watering. Just waiting to taste this. Wow, that juiciness, it's so tender, and yet you taste those beautiful caramely notes. Even in that part that doesn't have any skin on it, you can still taste that roasting. And guys, this is where that brine really pays off, because you have infused such flavor into this. And by the way, I relied on the drippings, basting that bird, to bring those seasonings back on top of the bird. Every time I basted it, back on top of the bird. So I did not add any more salt or pepper or anything. Just the drippings from the bird going back on and basting it every 30 minutes has brought that beautiful golden color that you can see right there, and that flavor infused into the meat of the bird. Ew, I'm telling you what, it's my favorite method, you guys. That roaster is my favorite method. I hope that you give this a try. Oh my goodness sakes, we've had so much fun bringing our Thanksgiving table to you guys. I hope this works out for you. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that. Give us a like and a comment, and we will see you next time on Things Tina Does.